This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations number 79. Due to also being a Jewish holiday, not as much time moving into new places. You can see the background looks different. It's probably going to change up once I figure out everything. So the first movie I watched was almost a 2-hour movie called The Wrath of Man, which is a film by Guy Ritchie starring Jason Statham. And there are people in there like Jeffrey Donovan, Josh Hartnett, Eddie Marston, and Scott Eastwood. So you've seen a lot of people in this movie. So basically, the movie shows you Jason Statham starting to work for like some security company. And when he works for the security company, he's going above and beyond to make sure the money isn't stolen and that nobody dies. But of course, he just slims by on the test, so he goes like, okay, this guy is average at the job at best, so we can just get under. And you're trying to figure out, why does he want to work here? Is he trying to really rob the money from the bank or what it is? And I was like, okay. But basically, this became a revenge film, and you don't know this until almost like an hour and 10, 20 minutes into the movie, where then they flash back to the past. And some of those scenes involve armored trucks and money, so you're not sure if that's present day or that's the past. And basically, the box doesn't give you a lot of information, but the movie is a revenge film where he's eventually taking revenge on somebody that is related to the armored trucks, not the armored truck drivers themselves, but like people that have been robbing them and stuff. So he's trying to get it out. And then they had Post Malone with he had a cameo in the movie, and I thought it was interesting, but the movie wasn't well written. The characters weren't fleshed out. They had one token woman, they had a token black guy in the movie, all this other stuff, and then you won't believe who's actually an inside man on the armored truck crew and stuff like that. And Scott Eastwood's character is in there, and he's interesting. Jeffrey Donovan's character is somewhat in there, and Hartnett's one of the characters. But no offense, Guy Ritchie, this wasn't a great movie. Jason Statham just saved it so that's a watchable movie, especially for an almost 2-hour movie. Then I watched Godzilla vs. King Kong. Now, for those who haven't watched Kong Skull Island, and you're lost and you haven't watched the previous Godzilla, you'll be confused, because they take the actors who dealt with King Kong before and the actors who dealt with, Godzilla. And Godzilla was like the Millie Bobby Brown and her father, Kyle Chandler, and then you have Brian Tyree Henry, who's new, and they bring him for comic relief, and Alexander Skarsgård is also working with it, and then you got the woman who's working with King Kong and the little native child from that island and stuff. And the whole point of the movie is Godzilla's attacking the Earth, and we don't know why he's attacking the Earth. So when he's attacking the Earth, you say to yourself like, why in the world is he attacking Earth? And the only way to stop him is they have to get King Kong to come out, because King Kong will bring him out, because all these creatures supposedly connected to each other, like the ones that Godzilla fought in the previous movie. And the two of them have to fight each other because we're trying to stop Godzilla. King Kong, on the other hand, is not the most stable force, and you have to make sure that he's actually on your side. And then there's some plot twists where you're wondering, like, you find out why Godzilla's attacking, what they got to do to save the day, because both of them are not bad guys. So you eventually think like Batman vs Superman, that they're going to realize there's differences and they're going to face each other. It's like an hour 50-minute movie. It's got all the special effects, the science fiction of like they come from another planet, all the action scenes. So it was a good movie. You'll be confused if you haven't watched any of the previous movies before. Then I saw Nobody from the creators of John Wick. And you're like, Bob Odenkirk of sketch comedy work and writing comedy, and of course Better Call Saul, the Breaking Bad franchise, and he plays people's fathers in some movies and some other stuff. But it's like, okay, basically the movie progresses where this dude every day he goes into work, takes the train or the bus, whatever, his wife goes to work, he has kids, and it's a Monday, boring life. And then somebody breaks into the house and steals stuff and something of his daughter's, and that's when he decides, you know what, that's it. My life is boring. I want to go and start getting things back. I don't want to be a pushover. And then it turned into a whole, like, fighting people and angry, like the Russian mob or something, and they're coming after him, and he's got to protect him and his family, and you're saying to yourself, like, So the plot twist is, there's a good enough plot twist in the movie where you realize that he's just more than your mild-mannered man. That's why the movie's called Nobody. That's his code name. So it's a very interesting movie. You'll figure out, when you do watch it, what his history is and how he's not just some normal dude that decides just to flip. And the only thing is, I watched it on a day when I was super tired, so I missed 10, 20 minutes of the movie. But Christopher Lloyd plays his father, which is cool to see him in a movie. So, and Reza Arza is in the movie somehow. That's a little confusing how he's related in the movie. But yeah, I'm probably going to go back and watch the scenes I missed because, you know, it was a pretty good movie. And I'm just a huge fan of Bob Odenkirk. Then I watched this movie Pinocchio, which was an Italian movie, but I'm glad they had it dubbed in English because it's like an almost 2-hour and 5-minute movie with credits. And if you've seen the cartoon, you've read the book, you know everything about Pinocchio, so you know the story of being created, trying to be a boy, getting kidnapped, running away, his father going looking for him, the two of them, all this other stuff. And there was some weird, you know, special effects where, like, people were dressed like foxes and snails and other creatures, and they were talking weirdly, and fishes and stuff. And, you know, back and forth where the boy looks like a boy, he looks like a, you know, a puppet. And this old weird dude who seemed like a little creepy, and there's, like, all this stuff. That it was just, it's like this type of movie you watch, and you're on drugs, and you're, like, enjoying it. But when you're sober, you're like, this is one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. Maybe because of all the special effects and everything else going on in the movie. That's why I won some awards. But unless your children want to watch this movie, as an adult, you're just going to be like, okay, I know the story. Why am I wasting my time watching this? It's kind of weird and creepy, this movie. Then I watched this sci-fi film called Voyagers with Ty Sheridan and Colin Farrell and Johnny Depp's daughter. You know, I was like, okay, cool. And basically, it's one of these post-apocalyptic movies, or just in the future type of movies, where in the future they realize they need to go colonize another planet, and the only way to do that is to start these children with no emotional attachment to Earth, and they will then be the next generation. They'll have children, and then their children will have children, and they'll be grandparents to the kids that actually colonize the planet, where there'll be like 3 generations almost living on a ship. And of course, Colin Farrell's like, I've been working with them, I train with them, I got nothing yet left on Earth. So he's in the movie watching these kids, and they got all these rules and protocols, and they've learned all the tasks, and they got to do them. They regulate their you know, their vitamins, their food, their drink content, so they have enough to survive 3 generations. And then of course, like Lord of the Flies, when the adult Colin Farrell is no longer in the movie, the people start to rile up, and things escalate, and it turns into like one group versus another group, and who's going to take control of the plane, and you know they're trying to go against protocol, and you're just like, okay, how's it gonna end? Are they gonna finally survive? Are they going to make it to the planet Earth? And then they show in the future when they're old people. So it was a little bit of a cliche movie. It's not the world's greatest written movie, and you don't know, you know immediately watching it, once Colin Farrell's gone, things are going to get out of hand and go out of control, deaths, all these other stuff. You're like, okay, cool, ship issues. So yeah, it's something that they like done before, you know, mutiny on the ship and stuff. But yeah, it was an okay movie if you're a fan of sci-fi like I am to watch it. Then the last movie I watched was called The Courier, with Benedict Cumberbatch, Rachel Brosnan, and Jessie Buckley. So basically, it's based off like a true life story of this businessman in England who was used as a spy to spy on the Russians, because MI6 and CIA needed to stop the Cuban Missile Crisis and stuff. And he's a mild-mannered man. He works with a Russian double agent, the United States, and of course the whole story is he gives all this intel that helps us stop the Cuban Missile Crisis, but then he's got to pay for it in the end, and he eventually goes home. And yeah, for an hour 50-something minute movie, if you're into historical films, into espionage spy films, and you're a fan of Benedict Cumberbatch, you know, continuing to play famous people, because he's done other people like before, with like Thomas Edison and like Tesla and all those other movies. He's done things like that before. So yeah, it was a pretty good movie. It was interesting enough because it's based off a true story. So if you like that sort of things, I would suggest it. So pretty much, Pinocchio was meant for children because it's creepy and odd. The script for Wrath of Man and Voyagers weren't the greatest, but like Statham carried the revenge film movie, and the science fiction was okay enough, even though the cliche. Nobody, I think, was the best movie I watched because it was Bob Odenkirk being a badass, being, just attacking people and being like an agent or something, and Godzilla and King Kong, of course, because it's one of these huge blockbuster science fiction films that everybody's got to watch, and this was a good historical film. Thanks for listening to another edition of the movie reviews and observations, number 79. For On the Radar Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.